Did you know that one single book took 12 years to write, spans over 1,000 pages, and somehow manages to contain the entire human experience within its pages? Today, we're diving deep into Leo Tolstoy's monumental masterpiece, War and Peace, a novel so ambitious that it literally redefined what literature could accomplish. This isn't just another classic gathering dust on your shelf. This is the book that every serious reader needs to understand, and I'm about to show you exactly why. What makes War and Peace so extraordinary isn't just its scope, it's how Tolstoy manages to weave together the intimate personal struggles of aristocratic families with the earth-shattering events of the Napoleonic Wars. We're talking about a work that seamlessly blends romance, philosophy, military strategy, and social commentary into something that feels both epic and deeply personal. This book doesn't just tell you about history, it makes you live through it. War and Peace stands as arguably the greatest novel ever written, a towering achievement that emerged from Leo Tolstoy's pen between 1865 and 1869. Set against the backdrop of the Napoleonic Wars from 1805 to 1820, this epic chronicle follows the interconnected lives of Russian aristocratic families as they navigate love, loss, and the brutal realities of war. Tolstoy didn't simply write a historical novel, he created a universe where philosophy, psychology, and human drama converge in ways that continue to mesmerise readers more than 150 years later. The novel's genius lies in its dual focus on both the grand sweep of history and the intimate details of individual lives. Tolstoy masterfully demonstrates how massive historical events ripple through personal relationships, changing the trajectory of individual destinies, while simultaneously showing how personal choices and characteristics shape historical outcomes. The book features over 580 characters, yet each feels distinctly human and purposeful within the larger narrative structure. What sets War and Peace apart from other historical epics is Tolstoy's revolutionary approach to storytelling. He rejected conventional plot structures in favour of a more organic, lifelike flow of events. This wasn't accidental. Tolstoy believed that traditional novels with their neat beginnings, middles, and ends failed to capture the true complexity of human existence. Instead, he created a work that mirrors life itself, unpredictable, sometimes chaotic, but ultimately revealing profound truths about human nature and our place in the world. The story opens in 1805 at an elegant salon in St. Petersburg, where Russian aristocrats discuss the looming threat of Napoleon's expanding empire. Through these glittering social gatherings, we meet the novel's central characters. The idealistic Pierre Bezukhov, who unexpectedly inherits a vast fortune, the beautiful and manipulative Helene Kuragina, and the Rostov family, whose warmth and genuine affection contrast sharply with the calculated social climbing surrounding them. As Napoleon's armies advance across Europe, young Russian nobles like Prince Andrei Bolkonsky seek glory and meaning on the battlefield. Andrei, initially cynical about life and love, becomes wounded at the Battle of Austerlitz, an experience that fundamentally alters his worldview. Meanwhile, Natasha Rostova blossoms from a spirited child into a captivating young woman whose romantic entanglements drive much of the novel's emotional core. The narrative crescendos during Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812, when the entire Russian society must confront an existential threat. The burning of Moscow becomes a pivotal moment that tests every character's courage and reveals their true nature. Pierre, now married to Helene, but spiritually empty, seeks meaning through his involvement with the Freemasons and later through direct participation in the war effort. Throughout these tumultuous years, Tolstoy weaves together multiple storylines that explore themes of fate versus free will, the nature of historical change, and the search for authentic meaning in an uncertain world. The novel concludes not with dramatic resolution, but with a sense of life continuing, characters having grown and changed through their experiences, carrying forward the lessons learned through suffering, love and loss. The opening salons of Anna Pavlovna Ashera establish the novel's social universe and introduce us to the complex web of relationships that will define the story. These gatherings aren't mere social pleasantries, they're microcosms of Russian society grappling with the Napoleonic threat. Pierre Bezukhov's transformation from awkward social outsider to wealthy count illustrates how sudden fortune can simultaneously liberate and imprison. His inheritance brings him into contact with the Kuragin family, whose moral corruption represents the decadence of Russian aristocracy. This section demonstrates Tolstoy's belief that true nobility comes from character, not birth or wealth. The Battle of Austerlitz serves as the novel's first major reality check, shattering romantic notions about military glory. Prince Andrei's wounding and his mystical experience lying beneath the infinite sky marks a crucial turning point in his spiritual journey. This battle reveals how individual heroism becomes meaningless within the vast machinery of war, yet simultaneously shows how personal transformation can emerge from trauma. Tolstoy uses this battle to explore his theory that historical events result from countless small actions rather than the grand strategies of supposed great men. Natasha Rostova's coming of age represents the novel's emotional heart. Her transformation from innocent child to complex young woman mirrors Russia's own maturation through crisis. Her first ball, where she dances with Prince Andrei, captures the intoxicating power of youth and beauty. However, her near elopement with Anatol Kuragin demonstrates how innocence can be manipulated and corrupted. This storyline explores themes of moral education and the dangerous naivety of youth when confronted with sophisticated evil. Pierre's spiritual quest through Freemasonry reflects the Russian intellectual class's search for meaning beyond traditional religion and social conventions. His initiation into the Masonic Lodge and subsequent disillusionment illustrate the limitations of abstract philosophical systems when confronted with real human suffering. Pierre's journey reveals Tolstoy's belief that authentic spiritual growth comes through direct engagement with life's challenges, rather than through esoteric knowledge or ritual. The burning of Moscow represents the novel's climactic confrontation between Russian and French civilizations. This event transcends mere military strategy to become a profound statement about national character and spiritual resilience. The Russian decision to abandon their ancient capital rather than surrender it demonstrates a form of strength that confounds Napoleon's European logic. Moscow's destruction and rebirth symbolize the cyclical nature of history and the ultimate triumph of spiritual values over material conquest. Napoleon's retreat from Moscow provides the novel's most vivid depiction of war's brutal reality. The French army's disintegration during the Winter March reveals how quickly civilized men can revert to primitive survival instincts. Pierre's capture and subsequent liberation during this retreat allows him to witness firsthand the collapse of the supposedly invincible Grande Armée. This section explores themes of human endurance, the randomness of survival, and the ultimate futility of imperial ambition. The novel's resolution through the marriages of Natasha to Pierre and Mary to Nikolai represents more than romantic fulfillment. These unions symbolise the regeneration of Russian society after the trauma of war. Natasha's transformation from spirited girl to devoted wife and mother reflects Tolstoy's beliefs about women's roles, while Pierre's evolution from seeker to family man suggests that meaning comes through love and responsibility rather than grand philosophical systems. True happiness emerges from authentic human connections rather than social status or material wealth. Throughout the novel, characters who pursue genuine relationship find fulfillment, while those who prioritise social climbing or financial gain remain spiritually empty. Pierre's journey, from wealthy but miserable heir to a loving husband and father, demonstrates that money without meaningful relationships creates only sophisticated forms of suffering. The Rostov family's financial struggles, contrasted with their emotional richness, reinforces this theme. Historical events result from countless individual actions rather than the grand designs of supposedly great leaders. Tolstoy systematically dismantles the great man theory of history, showing how Napoleon's campaigns succeed or fail based on the collective behaviour of ordinary soldiers, citizens and minor officials. This perspective emphasises personal responsibility and suggests that each individual's choices contribute to historical outcomes, making every person a potential agent of change. Suffering, while painful, serves as the primary catalyst for spiritual growth and authentic self-discovery. Characters who endure significant hardships, like Prince Andrei's battlefield wounds or Pierre's imprisonment, emerge with deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world. This theme suggests that comfortable lives, while pleasant, often prevent the kind of profound self-examination that leads to wisdom and compassion. The search for meaning through abstract philosophical systems ultimately proves less satisfying than direct engagement with human relationships and responsibilities. Pierre's involvement with Freemasonry and various intellectual pursuits fails to provide the fulfillment he discovers through love and family. This takeaway reflects Tolstoy's skepticism about purely intellectual approaches to life's fundamental questions. Women's influence on historical events often occurs through their emotional and moral impact on men rather than through direct political action. Natasha's effect on Prince Andrei and later Pierre demonstrates how feminine qualities like compassion, spontaneity, and emotional authenticity can redirect male ambition toward more constructive ends. This theme, while reflecting 19th century gender roles, suggests that traditional feminine virtues possess transformative power. National character emerges most clearly during times of crisis, revealing essential values that transcend surface-level cultural differences. The Russian response to Napoleon's invasion, particularly the decision to burn Moscow, demonstrates a form of patriotism based on spiritual rather than material values. This theme explores how cultural identity develops through shared trials and collective sacrifice. The randomness of survival in war highlights the limits of human control over destiny, while simultaneously emphasizing the importance of moral choices within those constraints. Characters who maintain their humanity during brutal circumstances, like Pierre during his imprisonment, demonstrate that ethical behavior remains possible, even when outcomes seem entirely determined by chance. Forgiveness and redemption remain possible even after serious moral failures, provided individuals genuinely recognize their mistakes and work toward amendment. Prince Andrei's eventual forgiveness of Natasha and Anatoly, achieved only through his deathbed spiritual awakening, suggests that moral growth continues throughout life and that even seemingly irredeemable characters can find redemption through sincere repentance. War and Peace transcends its historical setting to deliver timeless insights about human nature, moral development, and the search for meaning in an uncertain world. Tolstoy's masterpiece demonstrates that the greatest literature doesn't merely entertain, but fundamentally changes how we understand ourselves and our relationships with others. The novel's enduring relevance stems from its unflinching examination of universal human experiences: love, loss, moral struggle, and the quest for authentic purpose. What makes this work truly revolutionary is its demonstration that ordinary people, not celebrated historical figures, ultimately shape the course of human events. Every character's journey, from Pierre's spiritual seeking to Natasha's emotional maturation, reinforces the idea that individual moral choices possess profound consequences, extending far beyond personal boundaries. This perspective makes the novel simultaneously humbling and empowering, suggesting that each reader bears responsibility for contributing to positive historical change. The book's final message centers on the transformative power of love, family, and genuine human connection. Through war's devastation and social upheaval, the characters who find lasting happiness are those who learn to value relationships over achievements, authenticity over appearance, and compassion over personal ambition. War and Peace ultimately argues that life's greatest victories occur not on battlefields, but in the quiet moments when people choose to love, forgive, and care for one another, despite life's inevitable uncertainties and disappointments.